This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Only a relationship based not just on attraction but on appreciation of the other person's good midot will survive and metamorphose into a long-term attachment. Again, the relationship is not just based on attraction, but appreciating the goodness and the qualities and values of the other person. That relationship involves a completely different type of mindset, in which excitement makes room for more profound feelings of connection. While objectivity is essential in dating, this does not mean you view others coldly. On the contrary, really knowing someone means seeing him or her from the inside. A woman told us about a rabbi who spoke in their community. When you meet new people, he advised, instead of judging them, take them in as they are. Don't categorize people. Experience them. Oh, you look at them from far, he's probably cheap. Or he's not good looking. Or he comes from a certain community. You just reject them wholesale. Don't do that. Don't categorize people. Experience them. I'll explain what that means. Most of us relate to people superficially. We size them up quickly and we conclude that I figured them out 1, 2, 3. Especially in dating we do this. This is common in dating. Right? Upon meeting someone new, we immediately decide we know enough about the person to know, not for me, next. Not for me, next. We dismiss people before we even really see them. Right? So, I once spoke about love at a singles gathering. There was lots of good food and music. And naturally, everyone was looking around hoping to meet somebody. Now, we were looking around also grateful to be happily married, looking at these people yearning to find the right one. On the one hand, all the participants seemed nice. On the other hand, some were more attractive or more successful than others. Would I, married, like numerous single people, only look at the beautiful and successful people? Or can I look at the other people differently? So let's do this experiment. If someone wanted to talk to me after my lecture, I would try to wave off my superficial impressions. I would try to see him or her in a real way. I wouldn't categorize. I would try to experience the other person instead of dismissing them with some stereotypical response. Not cool, not sharp, not hip. Several people approached me. All asked intelligent, sensitive questions about the true meaning of love and how to achieve it. None had great looks or great charisma. One even suffered from a bad disease. Yet everyone came through loud and clear as a beautiful human being. And our challenge is to see everyone as a beautiful human being. Suddenly the room seemed full of beautiful, eligible singles. Much has been written and spoken about the dating crisis. So many wonderful singles just can't find that right one. There are a host of reasons for this tragic state of affairs of why we have so many singles. Many of which have to do with problems rather than individual shortcomings. Could part of the problem be that we simply don't see people deeply and uniquely, that we size them up and we're quick to dismiss them? Could that be one of the reasons why we have so many single people today? Because we categorize people rather than experiencing them? Next time you're on a date, try the experiment. Drop your preconceptions. Open your mind, open your heart, let the other person in. He or she may prove a lot more attractive than you expect. Maybe even more beautiful than you expect. Don't compare. That's very important. Today, every inch of a person's face or body is scrutinized and measured against other people's, against other images, which have been photoshopped to perfection. So now you have an idea of a certain beautiful model or a very handsome man, and everything that we have in our heads now has to be compared against that paradigm that we have in our fantasy. In the end, a human being becomes just a mere specimen, a piece of meat, an object. This destruction is a death sentence for love. Research has found that single men who look at beautiful women on TV or in men's magazines were more critical of other women's looks than guys who don't look at these pictures. Far worse, married men who are shown photos of such women, are, as opposed to those pictures of average-looking women, found their wives less attractive and felt less committed to their marriages and more deciding to cheat. And another group of married men who looked at these revealing photos of models later described themselves as less in love with their wives. And don't think just men have been affected. Listen to what's happened to women. Though less visually oriented than men, many times, you heard this, that I tell you, women are emotional and men are visual, but guess what? Women are becoming very visual. I don't understand it. When I was dating in the 1980s, there's no such thing as a girl asking for the photo of a guy. Today it's standard. Every girl wants, I'm not every, but so many of them call me up, can I see his picture? I don't even remember anything like this happening in the 1980s and 90s. I just don't even remember it. Amazing. Women have been affected by this assault on objectivity. From the 1950s to 2000, men's desire to marry a good-looking woman increased by 60%, while women's desire to marry a good-looking man increased by 86%. By 1996, a good-looking husband was more important to women than it had been to men. No wonder everyone's biggest fear, particularly women's, is that natural enemy of beauty, which is to get old and age. But if we embrace to be subjective, we don't have to worry about aging. There's a beautiful scene in a play called The Five People Who You Meet in Heaven. 83-year-old Eddie, a widower for over 3 decades, is killed in a tragic accident. In heaven, he reunites with his wife, Margaret. In their lifetime, they had a deeply loving marriage, and they had no children. She was everything to him until she died of cancer. And here in heaven, she became young and beautiful once again. And it was a moving reunion in heaven. Can I ask you something? Eddie said to Margaret, yes. How come you look the way you looked the day I married you? Well, I thought you would like it that way, Eddie. He thought for a moment, can you change it? Change it to what? I want to see you the way I saw you at the end of your life. I wasn't so pretty at the end. Eddie shook his head as if to say, not true. Please change it. I was so fond of the way you looked when you were 53, not 23. And he says to her, you're as beautiful as ever, as she changes into becoming the 53-year-old woman again. Now, young kids rarely compare their mother's looks to other women. They just love their mothers. We have to shield ourselves from destructive media images while strengthening our consciousness of every person's beauty. The more successful we are, the more we can love. You've got to keep your feet on the ground.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.